everyone. Welcome to another episode with the Crime and Coffee Couple. My name's Allison.
And my name's Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Al. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Oh, good. You look full of vigor and life, I would say.
I was yawning and itching my eye before we started recording, and Mike's like, can you look alive, for God's sake?
Well, because I was like, are you ready? And you're like, yep. And I look over, you're like, and then I was like, you're not ready. I don't know. Like, and then you slapped your face 5 or 6 times.
I'm at a 12-hour day working wise thus far. So, and it's Friday. It catches up to you by Friday.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And you were nice enough to make me a delicious latte.
PSL.
Yeah, pumpkin spice latte. It actually is. Mm-hmm. We got some pumpkin spice flavoring from Amazon, and we didn't get what's the expensive one?
Torani, is it the brand?
Torino, whatever.
Whatever that. I don't know. It's like the main brand that I always see on Amazon. It was just really expensive on there.
They were trying to get like $15 a bottle or something.
I think it was 18.
18, and you're like, no, I don't think so. We're gonna go with another brand.
Not today.
Yeah, we'll put the link in the show notes as always. But yeah,
I think that was like $9.99.
I will say that when I asked you for it, I was just finishing up my work day, and I was like, hon, real quick, could you make me a latte? And you're like, a latte? And I'm like, in my head, here's what I thought. Before you say anything, I thought, well, she definitely heard me. Because it was like we were right next to each other.
I was like, son of a bee. I know. The last thing I feel like doing right now is making a latte, but okay.
And then I just go, yes, can you please make me a latte? And she's like, yes. And I was just like, okay. And
I said, is it wise to drink a latte at almost 5 p.m.?
And I was like, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry. I think I know myself. So
I care about you in your sleep.
You do. And I appreciate that. But, and real quick, I wanted to mention something. If you listen to us on Spotify, and I think like 60% of you do, there's an awesome comment section now. Like we can reply to your comments. There was a good little comment back and forth last episode, so go ahead and drop in like at the end of the episode there. It says like comments, just click whatever you want if you have any feedback on this case.
Yeah, thank you guys. Mike's our social media guy for the most part.
Yeah, guru.
I do the TikToks. I don't look at comments or anything. I just post the TikTok and get the hell out.
Right. And then anybody replying ever is always me.
Yeah.
Like it's always me. So just our insiders, people that have been listening to us for a long time, you know that already, because like a lot of people will do a DM, be like, hey, Mike. And I'll be like, hey, what's up?
I know. I'm just not a social media girl. Sorry, guys.
And it's because just the safety and stuff, and you don't want to get into that. Well,
I just have thin skin, and I just don't need to be, seeing any kind of negativity. Most people are so sweet and nice and positive.
99%.
You never know.
Absolutely.
You never know.
Yeah.
So I've just had a week. It's I don't know. I've just been really emotional. I don't know if you guys ever have it where you're just feeling really emotional and you're not quite sure why.
You emotional?
I'm asking our listeners.
I was just going to say, but you emotional? Weird.
I know. I am a very emotional person, but it's really catching up to me. And like I said, it's Friday. So it's just maybe the tiredness of the week. There's just been a lot of changes at work. They had a nice lunch for me today because I'm celebrating 20 years this month being there at the hospital. I'm a clinical dietitian, and I was just very thankful. I never expect people to do nice things for me, and I'm always taken aback when people do, because I'm always like, it's so unnecessary. Please, you don't have to do this. And it just meant a lot to me. And I don't know, I've just been crying.
Well, you deserve it. You're a hard worker. You're a great dietitian. You're a great wife and decent wife. Real good mom, I would say.
Oh, thank you.
No, I'm just kidding. You're great at everything.
That was just what got me yesterday. It was just a rough day. I just didn't feel like I was doing anything good enough. And our son hurt his back in PE, and I snapped at him, not knowing he was still in pain, and that made me feel terrible.
The first thing, so he's laying in pain in his bed. The first thing she does when she comes into his room, she's like, "Oh, but you did not clean up your room like you're supposed to." I was like, he's still in pain right now.
I didn't realize he had gone to a chiropractor. I thought he was feeling better, and that was shame on me because I didn't take the time to ask him.
And partially my fault. Maybe I didn't communicate it properly.
I thought he was feeling a heck of a lot better, and I just felt so terrible. And I'm the first one to own up to my mistakes and apologize. And of course, he forgave me. He's a sweetheart. And then I come out of his room after getting him all set up. Of course, I made him his nice cup of tea and got him some snacks to make up for my foot and mouth, and profusely apologizing. And I come out and it's pouring, and I realize it's the time our daughter's bus would be arriving. And normally she just walks home from the bus stop. It's in a gated neighborhood. It's a few houses down. But it was like a double whammy. Now she's coming around the corner, sopping wet as if she got out of the shower. I just burst into hysterical crying because I thought I was a terrible mother and just being hard on myself. So I guess the point of my rant is give yourself some grace. We're all doing the best that we can do. I think we're our own worst critics, and we're so hard on ourselves. I am always saying such kind things to the people I speak to at work with our patients and stuff, but I'm not preaching or practicing what I'm preaching.
Yeah, you're also one of those people, if you get like a compliment, you're like, nah, or like, oh, that's a nice shirt. And you're like, oh, $3 at Target or whatever. It's not like, thank you.
This is such a good dinner. Oh, it was so easy.
Right, so easy. That's always what you say. It's like a family joke where we're like, we know it was easy. We're just saying it was good.
Yeah, I'm not good at taking compliments. So it's just been a week. You know, I have nothing to complain about. I'm happy. I'm healthy. It's just been emotional. That's all.
That's okay. You can complain.
Yeah.
People complain, do whatever you want. That's what we're here for.
And then I'm watching Below Deck and the girl's grandmother dies. I'm trying to put makeup on while I'm getting ready for work this morning. And the girl's grandmother dies. She's crying. And I couldn't even put the makeup on because I was crying so hard. I had to like take the time. I could cry right now, even just thinking about it. It's like, it's so bad.
Oh boy, this should be an interesting case then.
Oh my gosh.
Once we come in.
And this case is really hard for me because it deals with a 13-year-old and our daughter is almost 13.
Great.
In a few months. So it's just, the perfect storm.
Yeah.
But I thank you guys so much for being here. You truly are amazing. We appreciate you so much. I can't even express how awesome our listeners are.
And real quick, if you're listening on any platform, go ahead and leave us a rating. I think Spotify, you can do it. Apple, you can do it. I think there's another one too out there, but you know your platform. So
yeah, it's really bad when I have tears in my eyes before we start the podcast.
Holy Moses! I
promise you, I'm going to pull it together and I'm going to get through this.
That is impossible. How can you promise that?
We'll see. I don't know. I can't promise. I'm just going to do my best.
She is actually crying right now.
I'm a mess.
She is.
I told my coworker today, I said I'm on the Hot Mess Express.
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and get started if you're ready. So this is just a terribly sad story. It is the death of Aubreigh Wyatt. And this is a listener suggestion from a couple of people. This is from Sharina and Carolyn. So thank you guys so much. So Aubreigh Paige Wyatt had just begun 8th grade at Ocean Springs Middle School in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, when her life tragically and suddenly ended on Labor Day. And I just so happened to be doing the research for this case like maybe a month or so ago, and I realized Labor Day is coming and it's going to be the first anniversary of her death. And I have to just say that my heart is with her family because I can't imagine just what they're going through. I know the anniversary of anything is just a nightmare. So my hearts and thoughts are with the Wyatt family. So her life ended on Labor Day, Monday, September 4th, 2023. So 1 year ago coming up, after she had made the unimaginable decision to end her own life at the tender age of 13. Aubreigh's mom, Heather, had opened up about her daughter's story on TikTok and Instagram, where her followers have steadily grown, rising to more than 2 million on TikTok and 75,000 on Instagram. A lot of the story of Aubreigh has spread through TikTok predominantly.
I imagine we'll share those links too.
Yeah. So Aubreigh's death has been widely discussed across social media as many shared the story of her tragic suicide and the bullying that she had endured before her death. It has been her mom's mission to be Aubreigh's voice since Aubreigh no longer has a voice on this planet. So Heather has indicated that cyberbullying was responsible for her daughter's death and went on to file a lawsuit against social media companies with that claim. She has made it her mission to stop bullying both in and outside of school and also to bring awareness to teenage mental health and suicide awareness and prevention.
Very important.
So Aubreigh was born in Ocean Springs, Mississippi on March 17th, 2010. According to her obituary, she was a fantastic straight-A student. She was truly an amazing daughter, sister, and a friend. She had a 15-year-old sister, Taylor, and a younger brother, Riker, who was 6. She adored typical teenage activities. She loved spending time at the beach with her friends. She loved creating TikToks, riding four-wheelers, participating in gymnastics, and she adored her cat Zeus. She loved girly things. Her mom, in one of the TikToks I watched, went through her school backpack, and she had like so many pencils and her eyelash curler, which our daughter is huge on her eyelash curler. She always had her nails done, just normal teenage things. Yep. So Aubreigh was an active member of her youth group at St. Paul UMC. She was adored by her mother, Heather. She was known for her outgoing and bubbly personality. Aubreigh was a very popular girl. She had an amazing circle of friends, But during her time in 5th grade at Ocean Springs Upper Elementary School, she started to get bullied by a particular group of girls. I did hear in some of my research that one boy was involved at points. So for whatever reason, these girls targeted her at school, at social events, on social media apps such as Snapchat. The girls began to spread rumors about Aubreigh, which were absolutely untrue. And despite the fact that Aubreigh tried her best to get them to stop, doing anything she could to just get them to stop, the taunting just carried on for years. Because I know, she had just started 8th grade at the time of her death. I think her mom said she was maybe in her 2nd week of school at the time. So you'd have to think somewhere around 3 years from what it sounds like that she'd been dealing with this horrendous bullying.
That's a long time at that age.
It really is. So Aubreigh was surrounded by people who adored her family and her friends, but this one particular group was just relentless. And for whatever reason, they just chose Aubreigh just to have it out for her. So according to Heather, Aubreigh was incredibly forgiving. She just wanted to live a peaceful and happy life. And at times, things would simmer down. They would settle down. The group would all be friends for a week. And once again, the bullying would pick right back up. The conflict would ramp up. And, it was just this never-ending cycle of drama and emotions and ups and downs that Aubreigh was dealing with.
Well, they're all, of that age where you're turning from a child to an adult, puberty stuff, a lot of things going on, and a lot of emotions happening.
Right.
So.
And here I am, 45 years old, just weeping throughout the week. Emotions run high, especially during puberty.
We're human beings.
Right. So Aubreigh had seen therapists in the past. She was actually on a waiting list to see someone at the time of her death on Labor Day morning. So Heather and Aubreigh, they openly talked about bullying. They were very open with feelings and emotions and what was going on in their lives and et cetera.
Which is interesting because a lot of times it's like, oh, I just wish we would have talked more. And it's like, oh, they never shared anything with me. It's like, it sounds like Aubreigh and her mom definitely shared those things.
They were super close and open with each other. So Aubreigh also had a strong faith in God that did help her cope too. So Heather always reassured her daughter that this gets better. And we tell our kids the same things. I mean, to be honest with you, middle school and high school, it's not an easy time.
I hated middle school.
And I can't imagine in this day and age, you also have social media on your, against you or on your side, however you want to see it. I grew up in the 90s. We grew up in the 90s. There was no social media. People could really only hurt you in person.
I got caught picking my nose and eating it, so people called me Nose. Imagine that. I know, it was definitely something they should have done. So also, I didn't wash my hair every day, so I had very oily hair, and it was parted, and it looked so bad all the time. And my mom always dressed me horribly. Not her fault. I should have known better. I should have been like, Mom, perhaps I should match instead of looking like I'm just picking two things from the closet. So I had a lot of things going against me. So, it's I definitely had some bullying in my past. And then high school, it got all better. I got confidence for whatever reason. And then it was fine. Thank God I made it through,
Right.
Unfortunately, it sounds like Aubreigh didn't.
Yeah. And like I said, it's just in this day and age with social media, there's so many different ways to be mean to somebody or bully somebody. So Aubreigh told her mom about a vanity that she was hoping to get for Christmas. So this just kind of goes to reinforce the fact that Heather did not know that there were any indications that her daughter was potentially suicidal. And had her mom known, obviously something would have been done. She did not know. And just the night before, Aubreigh was talking to her mom just about something so random, about a vanity that she wanted for her room.
So it wasn't like those typical signs where it's starting to give away things.
Not at all.
Yeah.
She actually went on Amazon and she put a couple of different vanity options in her mom's cart. She was hoping to get one of them for Christmas. And of course, after her daughter's death, Heather would see these vanities sitting in her shopping cart. And it was
I wish I could buy them both for you right now and still give them to you,
Yeah, and I was working on this case probably over the past month or so. And at the time that I was doing a lot of the research, our 12-year-old, who's going to be 13 in a few months, was sitting next to me. And it just really hurt my heart to think of Heather and just the pain that she's dealing with. So according to Heather, Labor Day morning, it started as just a typical morning. The only oddity was that Heather noticed that Aubreigh hadn't cranked the air conditioning down as she normally did during the night. So Heather started her workout and she realized that she was starting to get hot. So she walked over towards the thermostat to adjust the temperature down. And as she did, she could see in her peripheral vision into Aubreigh's bedroom. And in horror, she noticed that her beloved daughter was hanging in front of her window.
Ugh.
She started to scream, and her older daughter, Taylor, later went on to say that her mom screamed in a way that she had never heard a sound like this coming out of her mom. So, of course, Taylor hears the sound and she came running over, and the two were trying to keep 6-year-old Riker out of the room so that he did not have to witness anything. And Heather could immediately see that Aubreigh's legs were discolored in appearance, and she tried desperately to get her daughter down and revive her 13-year-old, who tragically, it was too late. Aubreigh had passed away hours earlier. Aubreigh had always stepped in as the little mama bear to both her younger brother Riker and to her older sister Taylor. Taylor was not only her sister, she was also her best friend. She was older by about 21 months, so they were just super close. After suffering the devastating loss, all three began to do therapy in order to just get through the just waiting grief that they were going through.
Just try to begin the process. Like, I can't even imagine.
No. Heather took medical leave from her job as a 3rd grade teacher at Oak Park Elementary in Ocean Springs, and this was a job that she had loved. The family, now of 3 instead of 4, they were working together, supporting each other through all of the firsts they had to deal with. Their first Christmas without Aubreigh, the 6-month mark.
So she was a single mom?
Yeah. So I was watching, Heather's TikTok, and she's talking about how, are there certain numbers that are hard for you? And she said the 4th will always be a hard number for her. And that's why I just keep thinking about Heather and just knowing that we're going into Labor Day weekend. And as much as I'm looking forward to the longer weekend and that the kids won't have school and we won't have work, my heart is just heavy for her.
I'm sure, I can't speak for her directly, but I'm sure she would say just, hug your kids more.
Yeah,
you never know.
Of course. So, they were working together to just get through all of these firsts, and they came together as they were just wading through their grief. Some days were better than others. Some moments were better than others. They might wake up and feel like, gosh, I'm actually doing good today. But then they would be overcome with sadness and waves that could just be triggered by something like a song or a picture or just anything that reminded them of Aubreigh.
And all the different emotions. It's not only sadness, it's also anger. It's also like, Aubreigh, like all you had to do was come talk to us, babe. Like we could have helped you and just given me a chance. And instead you didn't. Like, why did you do this to us? But then it's, obviously.
What kind of pain was
she going through? Yeah.
Yeah. So within 2 days of her sister's death, Taylor received a screenshot of what Aubreigh's 4 bullies were sending around after Aubreigh's death and that they had posted to their Snapchats. Heather spoke out and highlighted the fact that not only had these girls relentlessly bullied her daughter during life, but they wouldn't even allow her to rest in peace in death. The photo that these girls shared depicted a bloody doll with a noose around its neck.
Like, what is the deal with these kids? Are they psychopaths? Like, this is
scary.
Can you imagine being the parents if they have parents? I don't even know.
They do, yeah. Okay. So after Aubreigh's death, emotions ran high while students donned purple and teal suicide awareness ribbons, as well as, they were wearing these colors at Ocean Springs. Greyhounds is their school mascot. They wore these colors to the football game as Heather, Taylor, and Riker came out onto the field, while those in attendance honored Aubreigh with a moment of silence. Players attached stickers to the backs of their helmets for the month of September, which just so happened to be Suicide Awareness Month. So stuffed animals and flowers piled around the middle school sign where Aubreigh had just begun 8th grade, and students rallied together on campus, carrying signs and protesting to end bullying. Other students began to come forward. They were sharing their own stories of what they had dealt with. And I'm sure most of us could think back to high school and middle school. One kid told me to get off of his bike because I was so fat I might pop the tires. Like, where do you get that kind of meanness in your heart to say such a thing?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's unbelievable to me. So the district superintendent indicated that bullying is taken seriously, and there are multiple ways in which a student can report bullying, including anonymously on the district's website.
I imagine you're going to tell us what some of these things said.
Some of the things maybe,
Okay.
yeah. So policies for offenders include punishments from in-school suspensions to expulsions, and reports can escalate, even including law enforcement getting involved. So a memorial service was held for Aubreigh where she attended church at St. Paul United Methodist Church. As tears streamed down Heather's face during her 13-year-old daughter's funeral that was packed with Aubreigh's friends and their parents, she spoke through tears and just could say, "My baby, my beautiful, beautiful baby." From the start, Heather, who is Aubreigh's mom, of course, wanted to get justice for her daughter and make changes to prevent future tragedies from happening, because obviously Heather knows she will never be able to get Aubreigh back on this planet in this life, but maybe, even she'll say in her TikToks, if she could just help even one family from dealing with the pain that she is dealing with, that's a win. So Heather is a single mom. She, like I said, is an elementary school teacher. She began to speak out on social media about bullying. In February of 2024, Heather posted a video indicating that Ocean Springs Police Department and Jackson County Youth Court had each decided not to pursue bullying cases over Aubreigh's death. Out of frustration, she began to post screenshots from her daughter's Snapchat to support her claims of what her daughter had dealt with before her death.
So they were saying basically it was, air quotes, just a suicide, not a bullying thing, or maybe they didn't have any kind of proof?
I'm not entirely sure because there was proof for sure. So Heather shared a photo of her daughter with a red cheek that she had sent to her mom while she was in 7th grade after one of her bullies had actually slapped her in the face at school. She also shared screenshots of a Snapchat conversation where one person apologized for hitting Aubreigh and wrote, "I really didn't mean to hurt you. I'm sorry." While Aubreigh went on to simply apologize because that's the person that she was. Like her mom said, she just wanted to keep the peace. She wanted everyone to just be friends and just to have fun. Do your nails and be kids and just all get along together. And, she let it go because she didn't want this other girl to get into trouble. So this girl's parents have since denied that the slapping incident ever happened, despite the fact that there's proof because the daughter wrote, "I'm sorry, for hitting you."
Yeah, and at the same time, kids will like get in fights sometimes.
Right. And people do things sometimes that, like me, I walked into my son's room and barked at him while his back hurt. We do and say things sometimes in a knee-jerk reaction, and all we can say is, "I'm sorry," and try to, make ourselves better.
Right.
So in April of 2024, 8 students walked out of Ocean Springs Middle School, where Aubreigh was a student, and protested outside the school after one of the girls indicated that she was actually suspended for defending Aubreigh on Facebook.
Wow.
The girl had apparently said that those who bullied Aubreigh would one day get a taste of their own medicine.
Heather, so it's like threats?
Maybe they conceived that or took that as a threat.
Yeah.
So Heather was alerted to the protest and she filmed it on Facebook Live. Several of the students who participated in the protest indicated that they had been on the receiving end of bullying themselves, one to the point that she had even attempted suicide in 6th grade. Heather also sought the assistance of Gulfport attorney Trevor Rockstad to investigate the bullying, and the Ocean Springs Police Department obtained Aubreigh's phone records. They began their own investigation as well. In a news release from Rockstad and his law firm, they wrote, "The plague of bullying and cyberbullying is very real and present threat to our society, especially to our children and youth. If the perpetrators of this type of senseless and horrific behavior are not held accountable, the plague will continue to devastate our children. Parents, teachers, and school systems must be vigilant in preventing bullying. If they are not, they must be held accountable. Similarly, children must be taught that bullying hurts, traumatizes, and sometimes even kills its victims. If we do not address this problem now, we risk the safety of all of our children." A TikTok that Heather posted this June is what went viral, and how her followers have grown so tremendously and how Aubreigh's story has been greatly shared. So in this TikTok, it showed her sorting through Aubreigh's things as she was preparing to move the family to a new home. They were moving out of the home where Aubreigh had died. She found letters amongst Aubreigh's things that were addressed to each member of the family that were basically goodbye notes.
Oh.
The post currently has nearly 60 million views as people began to share Aubreigh's tragic story. The hashtag Justice for Aubreigh spread. As Aubrey's story was shared, it summoned raw emotions from those that have been victims of bullying. So anytime you're thinking of somebody that's bullied to the point that they would make the decision to take their own life, it brings up a lot of emotions for what, they have gone through.
Yeah.
So they've, also brought up emotions for family members who have to just sit there and watch their children suffer, come home from school in tears. It's heartbreaking because you feel helpless, because as a teenager, a parent of a teenager, your kid could come home crying and you're like, that is enough. I'm doing something about this. And then your kid will be like, please don't. It's only going to make it worse for me. So it's like you're almost stuck. You don't know what to do. You feel helpless.
Yeah, it's a tough situation.
So Heather took to TikTok and her followers began to grow as she spoke of the torment that her child was forced to face incessantly by her bullies that included the 4 girls. A lot of the time was these 4 girls. She did mention 1 boy. So Aubrey's name and photo began to spread, and the hashtag LLAW, which was Live Like Aubreigh Wyatt, started trending. Heather never named the children that were responsible for her daughter's relentless bullying on social media, but internet sleuths were able to figure it out, and soon their names went on to be circulated.
Yeah, that's not right.
And you have to think about the fact that 2 evils don't make things right.
Yeah, these are kids. They made horribly stupid decisions to bully somebody, and unfortunately Aubrey took her own life, but at the same time they're children. And
you don't want them to go on to get bullied in response to this, right? Because it's only perpetrating is that the right word?
The
like exacerbating the issue,
and
keeps on going round and round, over and over continues. And over.
It's like, you got beat up as a kid, you're going to beat up your kids,
right?
Where does it end?
And I know that from watching Heather's TikTok, she wouldn't want that. It's to end bullying, to bring awareness to it, not to ramp it up.
Yeah.
So with this, images of the bullies came out, some going even as far as publicly listing one of the girls' addresses, along with their parents' names and where the parent worked, and demanding that they resign. Texts between Heather and Aubrey detailing the bullying were shared online, and in response, the parents of the 4 girls involved filed a lawsuit against Heather, claiming defamation and slander. So after the July 2nd, 2024 filing, a judge ruled that Heather must temporarily shut down all of her social media accounts. And with this decision, many people on social media were just downright outraged. They were saying that this violated Heather's right to free speech.
Yeah, well, also defamation's not allowed. So it's just like that. Your free speech is fine until you start breaking laws. And I'm not saying Heather did.
No.
So don't take me for that. But it's also funny, like, just because Heather shuts down her social media, all the stuff's already out there.
Right.
So people are just going to get more mad and then keep on sharing it.
And Heather never shared any of their names. People are very crafty,
But she did share the texts between her and Aubrey with someone. Otherwise, it wouldn't have gotten out.
Right. Somehow it got out. But there's kids at school that know exactly what's going on. How the names got out, how these sleuths found out, I'm not sure.
Oh, you can. Yeah. It's not about the kids' names. It's more about probably Heather sharing the stuff with Aubrey, and then that would led to targeting those kids.
So according to Chancery Court Judge Mark Maple, the accounts were shut down in order to protect the minors accused of bullying Aubrey. Heather's supporters, including popular TikToks, have posted messages of support. One had more than 11 million views. It was their mission to speak out since Heather was no longer allowed to. So according to Newsweek, the complaint against Heather reads, as a direct and proximate cause of the false, defamatory, and slanderous social media posts of the defendant, Heather Wyatt, the plaintiff's minor children have been receiving insulting and revolting messages from around the world attacking them, calling them vulgar names, sexualizing them. These young ladies were in the 8th grade. And again, the point of sharing this story is not to ramp up the hate. It's to speak out about being kinder to one another.
Against bullying and creating awareness that this is going on. And if you're somebody that's currently bullying someone as a 14 or 15-year-old, one, you shouldn't be listening to our podcast, but also stop bullying, man.
Right.
Try to heal whatever you're hurting from.
Right. And the point of me providing this story is to talk about Aubrey and her story and to completely bring awareness to, talking to people, being kind to one another, knowing that, people are dealing with things that we might not know that they're dealing with, and just really just trying to be kind to one another. So on July 16th, 2024, the parents dropped the lawsuit and the case was dismissed without prejudice, which means that the parents can choose to refile in the future. On July 18th, Heather's social media accounts were reinstated. When March 17th, 2024 came, what would have been Aubreigh's 14th birthday, as expected, the day was extremely challenging for her family. Aubreigh loved birthday parties, the bigger the better, never wanting to leave anyone out. When they celebrated her 13th birthday, which was 6 months before her death, it was held at the beach, and Heather found herself scrambling at the last minute. She was grabbing more pizzas, more chips, and drinks. And more than 200 people attended her 13th birthday party.
Oh, that's nice.
I was like, wow, that's incredible. Like, you go, Heather, because I would have been very frazzled.
Yeah.
So Heather said that her daughter just loved big and extravagant, so she went on to rent a billboard to wish Aubreigh a happy heavenly birthday, knowing that her daughter would have just loved that.
Yeah.
Her celebration of life was on March 17th, 2024, and this was also held at the beach because Aubreigh loved the beach. It included cupcakes, balloons, and some of Aubreigh's favorite songs. Heather returned to work 3 weeks after Aubreigh's death, and she made this decision thinking that it would help distract her mind from just sitting there in her grief. And looking back, she did acknowledge that this was a mistake. It was premature. It was too quick. She was continuously called down to the superintendent's office after officials learned that she had hired a lawyer. On top of it, the district also rejected multiple requests to honor Aubreigh after the tributes were held immediately following her death. Heather decided to go on leave, and then she officially resigned from her job on February 15th, 2024. This was a little bit more than 5 months after Aubreigh's death. And she currently works in an office. She's working on getting her master's degree. She feels a strong sense of relief to be removed from the school district where she felt that she was not truly being supported. She felt disrespected. So since Aubreigh's passing, Heather dove headfirst into her mission to raise awareness about both bullying and mental health. In March of 2024, attorney Rockstad filed a lawsuit over Aubreigh's death against social media companies. This lawsuit claims that Aubreigh was addicted to social media as they are designed to be, and as she was incessantly pinged with notifications from her accounts, which included TikTok, Snapchat, and to a lesser extent, Facebook and Instagram. The intended algorithms which the platforms utilize fed Aubreigh, as well as, all teenagers, all people, and, a constant stream of content that's tailored to your interests to keep you addicted, to keep you scrolling and clicking.
Well, and then they see you looking up suicide stuff, and then they're serving you more suicide stuff. And that's how it goes. Like, if I ever come across something on social media that's like sad, I get past it right away because I know they're going to be like, oh, he stopped on this for a second. Even if you are sad, like I'm always thinking that or whatever. And it's absolutely true.
Right.
Now, there will be the other camp. It's like, your parents are supposed to watch what you're doing. And yeah, in an ideal world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you would. But it's impossible because we all have jobs and things of that nature. Yeah. And, there's a little bit of both sides. But these tech companies are absolutely capable of doing all these things. They're just investing in getting everybody addicted and everybody, the dopamine receptors is firing off however it takes because that's how they make money.
And we talked about it on another recent episode, how they're like, oh, well, we can't do anything about that. It's like, yeah, you shadow banned us on TikTok because we edited our clip.
I said a bad word, yeah, or whatever.
It's funny how you can do what you want to do when you want to do it.
They can do way more than they say.
Yeah, and I know people will come out and say, you're her parent, you should be monitoring this. But like you just said, we are parents of a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old. And we can't be looking over their shoulder 24/7.
To be fair, I can, but at the same time, I want to give them some access to some interesting things.
And,
it's like a balance. You try to get a little bit and not enough. I don't know. And there's parties to be said one way or another, but these companies can do a lot more.
Yeah. So according to the lawsuit, this ultimately led to social media compulsion, lack of focus, self-harm, depression, anxiety, suicidal ideations, body dysmorphia, poor sleep, and ultimately death by suicide. And I am just not great with social media. It just doesn't serve me well.
There's no reason to go on it.
I gave up Facebook probably, I don't know, 6 years ago, something like that. I still have an account. I don't ever touch it. I would find that I just kind of felt yucky when I'd get off, and I wasn't sure why. I was just like, why do I feel like I'm in a funk? And I was like, oh, it's because I was on Facebook. It just doesn't serve me. I recognize that, but it's harder for teenagers, you know?
Well, because their social circle's all there.
Yeah. So Rockstead filed the lawsuit in Superior Court in Los Angeles County, California. Heather's case is joined by hundreds of others in what is referred to in legal circles as the social media youth addiction lawsuits. The platforms are accused of using manipulative features which maximize the time that young people spend on the platforms, which then maximize the revenue that those companies collect from their advertisements, because obviously we know it's all about the money. So Heather is suing Meta Platforms, Inc., which includes Facebook and Instagram, Snap Inc., which includes Snapchat, and ByteDance, which includes TikTok and Google, and the video sharing platform YouTube. The companies have denied any wrongdoing and point out their parental controls, indicating that they are in place to protect children. The suit singles out Meta and accuses the company of fraud, fraudulent concealment, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Facebook and Instagram are accused of convincing parents that the platforms are a safe space for children. According to the lawsuit, had Heather Wyatt known how harmful these social media platforms were, she would have never allowed her daughter to utilize them. The platforms are particularly harmful to girls due to the depiction of unrealistic beauty and body image standards. What drives me crazy are these damn face filters. It's like, don't get me wrong. I use filters
every
on
time.
Snapchat.
All the time you do, yeah.
And it's kind of messed up because, obviously in real life, we don't have filters. Our mirrors don't have a filter.
If you see Allison in real life, you're not going to recognize her. I'm telling you right now.
There's not a filter on this video, you jackass.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, I could completely see, and I am truly glad that I am a child of the 90s, I should say. I'm so glad I did not grow up with social media.
Yeah, it's tough.
So glad. So it is Heather Wyatt's goal for her own daughter's death to mean something, and she is fighting to help end bullying in schools and outside of school, both online and in person. She wants to assist children and parents who are dealing with bullies to thrive and to get assistance if they find themselves falling into despair. It is Heather's promise to make sure that another child does not have to suffer the pain that Aubreigh endured, saying, "We are going to make waves. We are going to move mountains." Heather is leveraging her following to raise money for her newly formed Aubreigh Wyatt Foundation, which is devoted to bringing awareness and attention to teen suicide, bullying, and mental health. Aubreigh's case has impacted so many people since she was a beloved girl next door, and no one could wrap their heads around what went wrong. She was very involved. She had tons of friends in the youth group. Any of the videos I saw, she's like happy and laughing and smiling, and it was just such a shock for everyone who knew her that she could be suffering this much inside to make such a tragic decision, to end her life. She stresses that the fact that it's so important to check on everyone, not just the kid who's sitting alone at the lunch table, because loneliness and sadness and mental health issues come in a lot of different ways. Yes, that child sitting at the lunch table by themselves would love probably to be, asked to come and sit with me, but it's important to check on really everybody.
Yeah.
So the Wyatt family created a GoFundMe campaign to help cover legal fees, and of their $100,000 goal, over $120,000 have been raised thus far. Heather has been using her platform to advocate for mental health, and on July 11th, 2024, she updated the page encouraging people to make donations to local therapists and counselors that, can cover the cost of families that might not be able to afford professional help, because it can be hard. If you're struggling to put food on the table, you might say like, gosh, it'd be so beneficial, but I just can't swing it.
Right. And, there are programs out there to get you help too.
So, and also to check in with local crisis centers to see if they need assistance, to share available resources on social media, just to remind people that there are options available for people. There are people that are there to help. And that's really like I said, in addition to sharing Aubreigh's story, I just wanted to, be a voice to this crisis that's actually happening. So each Sunday after church, the family of 3 visits Aubreigh's grave, which they decorate for every season. Heather posted a really gut-wrenching video to TikTok. It was a video of Riker bringing Aubreigh a Valentine's Day bouquet as the 13-year-old sat at her desk in her bedroom. And then the next clip showed Riker bringing the bouquet to her grave 1 year later. And it read, "Rest in peace, my beautiful. You deserve the world, but the world..." Oh, God, I knew I couldn't make it through this without crying. Sorry.
Well, I mean, it is a girl that's close to the age of our own daughter, and it's a horribly sad story. So, the tiny bit of sadness you're feeling, her whole family's life was completely flipped upside down.
So she said, "You deserve the world, but the world did not deserve you." And obviously, there's no way to address every form of bullying because there are different forms. Since technology is so widespread and an abundance of the bullying incidents do happen privately on smartphones, on social media, that's away from watchful eyes. You could say one thing, if someone's being blatantly bullied in the hallways, I'm hoping somebody's seeing it and saying something and addressing it.
Yeah, that's the last place bullying's happening, most likely. I mean, if I was a kid in these days, it would be happening in social media or private messaging, whatever.
So that makes it that much harder to identify and address and treat. So bullying can be stopped, and by learning better social emotional skills,
can never be stopped.
Maybe not stopped, but controlled, improved.
Well, for instance, I was seeing a customer today, a school district, and they said our goal is 100% success for every student. It's like, that's impossible. Why would you have a goal that's impossible?
Right.
Like success for every, as many people as possible.
Right.
Or like stopping bullying will never happen. Like ending racism will never happen.
Sadly.
It's just, right. These are just facts. All we can do is try. I put a lot of importance into how words are said, and something like that really gets to me.
Right. And, the goal is just making it better, making the world a better, kinder place. So, you can help this situation by learning best, or kids especially learning better social emotional skills. And, this, includes teaching our kids kindness, how to, notice if somebody's in a bad spot. And oftentimes, people might lash out in anger when they're hurting and sad, and it could potentially push people away rather than bringing people around. So that's something we talk to our kids a lot about. Like our daughter was saying, gosh, this one girl, she just wants to fight everyone in school. For instance, I accidentally stepped on her sweatshirt because it was laying in the middle of the gym and we were running and I wasn't paying attention. And she was like cursing at me. And I said, just realize that something is going on in that girl's world that is making her lash out in such a way.
And stay away.
Yeah. And, honestly, you don't want to get involved in that kind of thing because she does get physical, but obviously that girl's suffering. So, bullying does come in many forms. It can be physical. This includes damaging or stealing property or pushing somebody. It can be verbal. This is obviously name calling and teasing. It can be social, and this is harder to spot because its main focus is to cause humiliation. And then, of course, there's cyberbullying, which is the newest form and can be done in both private and public. It can involve texting, social media, email, etc., etc. So modeling behavior is truly one of the best ways to prevent bullying. When an adult is modeling kindness, compassion, and empathy, it's teaching the watchful eyes of their younger generation that this is how we teach or how we treat people. So that's the biggest thing, is just trying to model good behavior. We're all going to have our bad days.
Yeah, like we watch Big Brother and make fun of some of the contestants on Big Brother with our kids. And we're like, maybe we shouldn't do that.
But we're not perfect people, So it's important to teach children to speak up when they or someone they know is being bullied. Children might see this as tattling, and this can cause their own social reputation harm, but it's important to encourage children to go to an adult with concerns, no matter how others might perceive them. Each age group requires a different focus. Middle and high school age children are more prone to cyberbullying because, of course, they're the ones with the smartphones and the apps, whereas younger kids, they could be dealt more with name calling and pushing and etc. So World Suicide Prevention Day was launched in 2003 in Stockholm. It is a designated day to focus attention on the problem worldwide to spread the message that suicide can be prevented. This year, World Suicide Prevention Day is on Tuesday, September 10th. It aims to put the issue on the agenda both globally and regionally, but also seeks to show that action has got to be taken locally. In the United States, suicide is the second leading cause of death among teens, with accidental death being the leading cause. It is our responsibility to help save lives that could be at stake. A yellow and an orange ribbon is used to signify the day, this World Suicide Prevention Day. And again, that's Tuesday, September 10th. This is coming up very soon. And if you are struggling, there is 24/7 help available. Please call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. I know that's the case in the United States. You know, your country might have a different way of getting help, but the help is there. If you are struggling, please talk to somebody. I can't imagine the darkness people have to be feeling to make a decision like this.
I can promise you, we'd rather have you around, like your family, our family, just everybody.
Right.
Yeah. The world's a better place with more people around and more interesting thoughts and things of that nature.
Absolutely. And you know, you might be in such a dark space that you can't see outside the light, but the light is there and help is there. And please just talk to somebody about your feelings. And that is the sad and tragic death of Aubreigh Wyatt. And, you know, I'm raising love to the Wyatt family because I know this weekend coming up and this next week is going to be especially tough for them because it's going to be the 1-year anniversary of Aubreigh's death. So my heart and love truly does go out to them.
And share the story with other people. You know, it doesn't have to be our podcast. Go, you know, let somebody else know about something you saw online. Just, you know, because everybody knows somebody who's in that tender age, you know, the teenage years and other years.
Right.
That it's bullying's a big problem.
And really, it's just a message to just, you know, be kind to people. And again, I know we're not perfect. There's times I'll come into the office and be like, oh gosh, what an a-hole that person was.
Sure.
I am not a perfect person. I'm not standing here trying to pretend to be because it's not the case at all.
You're sitting.
I'm sitting. I'm not standing. So I just lied too on top of it. But
you can't believe her.
It's just a reminder to just be kind and know that sometimes people are dealing with things, like I said, that we have no idea that they're dealing with. You know, there's so many things. People put up a good face and they might be suffering. So just, be kind.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have any examples of what kind of bullying they were doing?
No, it didn't really matter to me. That really wasn't the point.
Yeah.
But it's more about just teaching our kids to not treat others disrespectfully and unkind, and no point in texting somebody nasty things. There's just no point.
Yeah. You know, I mentioned the racism thing earlier, and like years ago, if somebody was like racist in front of me, I'd just be like, oh man, like it happens. Yeah. Like every race has some racism, you know, right? So
gross.
You might have a friend or somebody you might know that's like says a racist joke and whatever. So years past, I might not say anything, but like since having kids, especially since they become aware of things, I've been more likely to say like, oh, we don't talk like that. And then just kind of make it awkward a little bit, but at the same time, you know, change the subject. It should be
though, you know, it's you can't, okay, take your nastiness, go sit in a dark hovel and talk that way amongst yourself. Don't bring it around me and my family.
And I'm not trying to tell them how to talk, but I'm saying, oh, I don't use those words.
Around us.
Yeah.
Like we're not into that.
I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I'm saying what I do. So it's not like it's again, it's the word choices. So I'm just like, yeah, I don't really talk like that. So
yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, so it's letting them know clearly this is not okay in front of me or anywhere really, because you know it's not cool anymore.
Right.
And that's how we like keep on projecting. It's like our kids will do the same thing, and then their kids will do the same thing.
Absolutely, and that's just the whole point of like Heather's point is, you know, just trying to model good behavior so that our kids are kind and compassionate people that wouldn't dream of sending nasty texts to girls at school or boys at school or whoever.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the important thing.
Hopefully. You know?
Hopefully. That's the goal.
Well, thank you so much for listening. If you like what we do here, we are just a little independent podcast. We're just a Ma and Pa podcast. I'm Pa.
And I'm Ma.
Yeah. So if you like what we do and you want to support us financially, go ahead on over to Apple subscriptions or Patreon and become a patron or a subscriber. You can get yourself an extra episode each week, up to one each week for each month. So we do the free show here every Sunday, but there's more available. So over 60 or 70 or something like that.
Yeah, I think we're upwards towards 80 now.
Yeah, and if you're an Apple listener, you can go ahead and listen for free for like 3 days to all those. So,
like we say, binge away.
Right.
You know, sign up for free. You got 3 days.
Put it like 2x, speed. So it's like,
yeah, exactly. I actually sometimes I do check in on our podcast and listen to it just to make sure we don't sound like complete jackasses. And I put it at 1.25, and even then, like, it sounds kind of fast.
Yeah, because we talk kind of fast.
I am a fast talker.
You're going to have more information per second in this podcast than any other podcast in the world. I want you to know. So besides the first like 5 minutes. So.
And I was walking, and this one, I don't know if I said this before, but our IT guy at work, he's like, "Geez, you're in a hurry." I was like, "No, this is just my normal pace."
She walks fast everywhere. If I just have a leisurely walk around the subdivision, she's just like, "Can we get going?" I'm like, "Where are we going? We're going in a circle. We're just like having a nice walk."
I know. It's something I need to work on. Just slow down and smell the dang roses.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for being here. Sorry about my emotional tendencies.
Don't apologize.
Yeah, I know. I'm just, sometimes I do. I get very emotional, and
like we talked about, when somebody like compliments you or whatever, don't say, "Oh, I did was free" or whatever. Just like, yeah. So if you
Thank
are
you.
emotional, just it happens. Okay.
That's true. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. And you guys, we appreciate the heck out of each and every one of you. We will be back next week for another episode. And until next time, bye.